I don't often post negative reviews. Negative reviews can be tricky for a couple reasons. The first is you risk offending somebody who really enjoys the fragrance that you're trashing on. I'm not particularly concerned about that. I think at this point, we all know when we watch a channel or read a review, it's coming from a certain perspective, and we can weigh their perspective and their kind of opinions on other fragrances and the amount of knowledge we think that person has against our own experience, and we can be adults about having differing perspectives on certain fragrances. The main reason I don't do it is because to me it's just a waste of time to set up the camera and take the time to post a video about something I dislike. I would rather just spend my time talking about things I enjoy, so you can kind of assume if I don't talk about it, either I haven't tried it or I don't like it, but I do try a lot that I don't talk about. A quick note to the name of my channel, it comes from a piece by John Cage where he rewrote or kind of recomposed a piece by Satie and called it Cheap Imitation. But I thought it would be a little ironic in the fragrance realm because I feel like there are a lot of cheap imitations of luxury out there, cheap imitations of art, cheap imitations of other perfumes, of course, as well. And so it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and obviously, in general, I don't discuss what I consider cheap imitations, but we have a few here today. The main reason why to go negative, why maybe we should sometimes, is just to offer a diversity of opinion when many of these big brands get only positive reviews, either through advertisement or reviewers wishing to get on the good side of the brand to get sent freebies. I have no brand connections whatsoever, so I'm a free agent to speak as I wish about these perfumes. So I think sometimes it's good to go negative. It's one of the kind of ironic developments of the internet age that we used to be forced to watch ads in between our entertainment, and we kind of knew what was the ad and what was the entertainment. But I think now a lot of people just willingly watch ads as entertainment. There's so many of the biggest channels really watch like infomercials, and it's kind of funny that the most popular channels are the ones that most resemble ads. So companies no longer have to force us to watch ads. We willingly mistake it for entertainment. So anyway, the culprits today are two of the newer releases from Creed. You may presume I'm not a fan of Creed, but I also think hating on Creed is almost just as bland as loving it at this point. But these two are particularly bad and offensive to me. It's really hard to find the names on these. I was looking at these earlier. It's here on the vial. This one's Carmina. Let's have a spray. It comes in a dark red bottle that gives you some idea about how it smells. I tried a spray of this at Bergdorf on my wrist, and I truly regretted it the rest of the day. Pretty crappy little sample sprayer. There it goes. And I got gifted these. Usually when new releases come out, they're more generous with samples. Pro tip, if you want samples, oftentimes if you go digging for things that have been out for a long time, they won't have them, but when something first comes out, they're often more generous. So up top, I get a real kind of raspberry, fruity, rosy, kind of oud, fake oud kind of smell. I will say it's not offensive. None of these are offensive. None of these are gross. None of these are disgusting. They're maybe gross in a more abstract sense, being that they exist at this price point. But basically what bothers me about this is it just smells like your by-the-book, cheap, fake oud. It's been done a million times. It's not done particularly well here, even from the start. It smells very synthetic. It smells very high-pitched and scratchy. And I remember wearing it, getting really annoyed by the smell. So I pulled up some notes here. Black cherry, saffron. I do think the bottle color is accurate. There's a sense of kind of redness, red fruits in this. It mentions straight up ambroxan, cashmere wood, This has also been said a million times, so I almost hate to even say it, but we all know synthetic doesn't necessarily mean bad, and a lot of great fragrances rely on a lot of synthetics or might be completely synthetic. The problem is when something smells synthetic, when it smells fake, when it smells empty, and that's how this smells. I think I've referenced this before, but I think it was Fragrance Buy had a like Christmas time promo where you buy something and you get an entire bottle of something free, and that bottle was some super cheap Middle Eastern house. I don't even remember the name. I still have it somewhere, and it just smelled really bad. And I looked up the price, and it's maybe $12 or $20. I don't know how these things even exist and turn a profit. It's a little better than that, but it's not far off. It also reminds me of my travels through, I realized I may not be saying this correctly, Boudica, I don't know, the Victorious, which is another kind of fake brand with a fake heritage and all these kind of like Celtic crests, but it's created by Electimus. It's created by one of those big kind of nouveau niche conglomerates. And when I went through their sample set, it seemed like, or not sample set, but the samples I was given, seemed like every other one was kind of a fake, scratchy, loud rose oud. And this really smells like they're trying to jump on that bandwagon. So on to the next creed, Queen of Silk. And I decided to do these two because they're very much in the same vein. Interesting, yeah. The differences are more pronounced when I smell them side by side. But this one, again, smells like they're going after this kind of like Arabian designery market. I would say, for example, Louis Vuitton does a better job with their Ombre Nomad than either of these. This one comes in a purple bottle. These two really feel like relatives. Again, it mentions vanilla, ambroxan, cedar, passion fruit, interesting. Osmanthus, magnolia, oud. This one is brighter, a little more floral smelling, a little sweeter smelling. But both of these, they just smell so generic. They smell like something that's been done over and over. They smell synthetic. When you wear them, they wear loudly and obnoxiously and become very annoying on the dry down. And they're just extremely expensive, and there's just no reason for these to exist. On to two more things that have no right to exist. I got to try a couple fragrances from the new Fendi line. I'm always dubious when a luxury designer label launches a big fully formed collection all at once. I tend to think, wouldn't it be a smarter strategy to release one or two or maybe a trio that really have a special connection to the house? These market analysts must know that the market is so oversaturated right now that they have to do something to differentiate themselves. And I'll tell you what does not differentiate you is releasing like 8 fragrances all at one time that smell like fragrances that are already out there. I see no reason for anybody to buy this over anything else. And they really don't justify their existence. Why not? I believe the connection is supposed to be each one reflects one of the members of the Fendi family. Why not? Fendi is known for fur. Why not make the scent of cruelty, or make the scent of Cruella de Vil, make the scent of a fur coat, something, anything. This is nothing. There's I forget what it's from, like a movie or a reality show where like the judge is just like screaming, "This is nothing," like at the person's ideas. Obviously they've done something, but there's just nothing there in terms of idea or execution. So anyway, sorry about my sidetrack there. I requested specifically these two because these were done by two noses who I think did interesting work with Frederic Malle. There's Anne Filippo, and she did, let's see, Dolce Bacio. She did this one. And we'll smell that one first. This one is Patchouli Rose, it says. And I tried these already on strip. I didn't try them on skin, and I was glad I went with strip first. So Dolce Bacio, nose and Filippo. Again, it's not far off from the Creed in terms of kind of a rosy, woody thing. It reminds me a little bit of the rose, I suppose it was rose oxide, this kind of dry, sharp metallic rose that's also found in the new Hermes oud. I should get these in frame. Dolce Bacio we're talking about right now. Yeah, all it lists is patchouli, rose, apricot. It's not bad. I prefer this to the Creed because it's not quite as in your face, not quite as loud, not quite as synthetic or fake smelling, but again, I've just smelled it millions of times. And if you're going to do something that already exists in plentitude, at least do it particularly well, or have a bigger twist on it so that it distinguishes itself. But it just smells okay. Again, I'll say of the two Fendis, I'll say of all these, none of them are nasty, none of them are challenging. I mean, that would be interesting if they were challenging. They just smell typical. They don't smell particularly expensive. I noticed there's kind of a scent profile taking shape, or has been for several years now, that I always kind of call to myself just nouveau niche. It's often characterized by a lot of power, a lot of longevity, a lot of strong synthetics, woody synthetics. And I wonder if the average consumer has started to really associate this with luxury and with expense. Because so many luxury launches follow this scent profile. It's probably also due to the fact that they're all more or less created by the same few flavoring houses. So they're using the same kind of base materials. I'm quite sure that these flavoring houses have tiers. So a brand can come in and say, okay, we want a designer tier, a lower tier, like in this price range, and they pull the things off the shelf for that. We want a designer exclusive tier, and they pull the things off the shelf. So that these very much smell like that. They pulled something off the shelf in the private collection, luxury level designer tier, and this is what we have. So this one, the other one I've just sprayed here, is by Fanny Ball, who did a nice perfume for Frederic Malle as well. And this one is called Ciao, Amore, and it says fig leaf, orange blossom, tonkamine. I like orange blossom, and it's a decent orange blossom. It reminds me of the much cheaper Off-White that I have, Untitled 2, I think, which I think is only $150, and I've seen even cheaper on discount already. Kind of a decent synthetic orange blossom. I don't particularly get fig, but these two are just so generic. I've smelled them before, and I requested samples for the two that I thought had the best chance of me liking them. Several of the others, maybe most of the others, are done by Quentin Biche, and that scares me a little bit. My department store source, when he brought these to me, had also sprayed something on from the line himself, and I didn't know what it was, and he asked me, what do I think of this? I smelled his arm, and I said, oh, this is Amberwood's Nightmare. So I imagine that was one of the Quentin Biche creations for Fendi. I actually haven't visited the counter myself to smell through the rest. I just asked my friend, could he get his hands on the one by Fanny and the one by, what's her name? Fanny and Anne. So he came through with these. So anyway, there we go. Again, if you've never smelled a fragrance in your life, if you've only smelled things at Sephora, you might smell these, be impressed by their power, by their longevity. They don't smell bad, but none of them make me want to part with any amount of money. There's many better things out there for the same price, and many better things out there for cheaper. And the most disappointing thing is just they have no personality whatsoever, zero personality. These could belong to any one of many houses. And I just wish that brands would think about that, think about making something that justifies its existence. We could even take a political tact and say it's a waste of resources to be putting out stuff that is so generic and so mundane. I don't know, save that orange blossom oil for something better, for something interesting. Interestingly, and kind of making me happy, my friend at the department store said that the Fendi lady hasn't sold a single thing yet. And I hope that continues, because brands need to learn that we won't buy this crap forever, so that either they try harder or take their time more and don't release so much stuff all at once. So those are my opinions, my hot takes on some recent samples that I feel are really representative of the worst of perfumery today. I'm not one to think that the good old days were better than today. I very much try to stay in the present tense. And I think there's tons of fantastic stuff out there right now and new things being released right now. I think probably the majority of things are not good, but I think that's also probably been the case forever. I just think there's more of everything. There's more bad stuff and there's more good stuff. When I look at my collection, I've got way more fragrances than anybody needs, but I absolutely love every single one. There's not a dud in there. So we're not exactly starved for fantastic perfume. There's more than enough. There's more than anybody could possibly wear in a lifetime. So I'm not down on perfume as a whole, and I'm not looking at the past in rose-tinted glasses, but I think it's good not to let these luxury brands kind of make you part with your money for really subpar fragrances. But I assume most people who would stumble upon my video are likely savvy enough to not fall for those kind of things either. So that's all for now. Bye.